a recent Screen Rant article has led a lot of people to believe that Jim Lee, comic superstar extraordinaire, he got really big at Marvel, drawing a lot of X-Men stuff, then he moved to Image, and now he's one of the head honchos at DC Comics. That Jim Lee is the new architect of the DC movie universe. Basically, this is all based on a quote that Arrowverse producer Marc Guggenheim gave, where he told people that it was Jim Lee who was responsible for Ezra Miller, the movie Flash, to show up as a cameo in the Crisis on Infinite Earths crossover on TV. For the movie Flash to meet the TV Flash. But the only real evidence we have, or the clue that we have that Jim Lee is a new architect, is a Guggenheim quote. So nothing has been released by Warner Brothers officially yet, but it's got a lot of people talking. So let's get into this article. The headline of this Screen Rant article is DC movie story future reportedly has a new lead. Arrowverse executive producer Marc Guggenheim hints Jim Lee could be the new lead for DC movies, spearheading the comic book film franchise forward. In light of a surprising cameo from Ezra Miller's Flash in the CW's Crisis on Infinite Earths crossover, where he met his small screen counterpart played by Grant Gustin, Arrowverse executive producer Marc Guggenheim was asked how they're able to pull such a feat. Pull such feat. I don't know, that was phrased weirdly, but that's what they mean. Pull off such a feat. In an interview with Variety, the showrunner was asked if the events of the TV special means that Ezra's movie Flash no longer exists, considering that going through the multiverse was to ensure that there's only one version of each hero existing. Not necessarily. Guggenheim declined to comment, and instead directed queries to the studio and, surprisingly, Lee. I will leave that question to Warner Brothers in DC. They have a wonderful vision for not just Ezra's Flash, but also the entire DC universe. Jim Lee is the man to talk to. So that right there, saying Jim Lee is the man to talk to, has got everybody thinking, is Jim Lee the new DC movie architect? Perhaps. I know there have been rumors before saying that, Warner Brothers was going to ask J.J. Abrams to lead DC. Before that, they were saying that James Gunn was going to be asked to do it, or that, Gunn and Abrams were going to lead it together. But also, what about Walter Hamada, right? A lot of us thought was already supposed to be the DC architect as it is. So if it's Jim Lee, what does that mean for all these other guys that we've been hearing about who are leading DC or who are going to be leading it in the future? I'm not sure. I mean, what Guggenheim could have mean is just that it was Jim Lee who made the Flash cameo happen, but that was it. Not that Jim Lee is going to be the leader of the DC movie universe going forward, like it's Kevin Feige or whatever, but maybe that is what Marc Guggenheim meant. Very interesting, the DC universe, the DCEU has always got people speculating and tongues wagging about who has the real power over there in the movies. And a lot of times it's really unclear who has the actual power over there. Because historically they haven't seemed to really had one person doing it who seemed to really be the only person doing it. There seem to be all these other executives making these plays or, people not really talking to each other. At least that's the way it has looked to those of us on the outside. On the inside, who knows? You'd have to work there to know how things really go there. So, I don't know. I mean, I certainly wouldn't have a problem if Jim Lee was the new leader of the DCEU, the architect. But I would be surprised. I wouldn't expect them to pick him because I don't think Jim Lee have any movie production experience. Maybe he does, or maybe you don't need movie production experience to lead the DCEU. You just have to really want it and care about the characters in the franchise and in the DC comics. But, I'm not knocking Jim Lee. If he's doing it, okay, great. I'm not saying he's not qualified or can't do a good job. I think that making Ezra Miller or asking Ezra Miller to show up as a cameo on Crisis on Infinite Earths was a great genius idea. There are some people who don't think it was a good idea, but I think it's great. I think it's wonderful to indicate that the DC, all the DC media, the shows and the movies really are a multiverse. And I think that it's the start of a really great future going forward. And it could set up, where all these characters could appear in movies or TV shows from like all DC things past, and for it to make sense, for them to actually acknowledge and show that, a multiverse that crosses, media, TV and movies exists. I think it's great. So, I don't know. Maybe Jim Lee knows exactly what he's doing. Thank you for watching. If you like this video, please like it on YouTube and subscribe to the channel because I appreciate your viewership, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.